to From Betrayal to Breakthrough. I'm Dr. Debbie Silber, and today's guest is Byrdy Lynn Kelley. Byrdy Lynn is the proud mother of one son who is attending college for industrial engineering. She's also CEO and founder of REAME LLC, a real estate technology company, Melan Property Management LLC, a real estate management firm, and Byrdy Lynn LLC, a private publishing company. Byrdy sits on the National IREM Foundation Board and actively volunteers with the Real Estate Association program. She holds a BA from the University of Texas at Arlington. She enjoys entrepreneurship and strategizing new ways to make a positive difference in people's lives and attends the Alfred Street Baptist Church virtually and has been a member since 2013. Her greatest joy lies in seeing others become happy and self-sufficient, finding peace in their own stories. So you may have heard me say that trauma is the setup for transformation. Well, my next guest is a living, breathing example of just that. If you thought you had no choice but to stay stuck after having a multitude of traumatic life experiences, you're going to realize that staying stuck is a choice. Here's Byrdy. Okay, everybody. So we have Byrdy Lynn Kelley today, and we are going to be talking about through the storm of early trauma, because so often that's where all this stuff starts, and then it is the setup going forward. So welcome, Byrdy.
Thank you. Hi.
So, we spoke a little bit right before I hit record. I always want to get an idea of what we'll be talking about. And, so often these betrayals we have later in life have a root in that early time where we're just, we're forming beliefs and who we are and all of that. And I know you have a story of early betrayal. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah. So, just growing up, I loved everybody. I had this outgoing attitude, had this innocence about me. And then, my older sister, in a sense, betrayed me and betrayed my body by molesting me. And that was something that I went through just utter turmoil, trying to figure out as a 6-7-year-old how to move forward. And so I eventually gave my life to God, and I prayed to God that he would make it stop. And eventually she became so weirded out that I was like praising Jesus and had doing my worship songs that she just stopped. And so I just, I was so glad to get through that. But then, I went through.
Even before you moved forward, what did you make that to mean? Because here's your sister, and you're thinking she's supposed to be your sister. And how did you handle that? What'd you do? And what did you think about it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think what happened for me just mentally, I had to find, outlets to kind of feel normal, because what my sister was doing was making me feel not, abnormal. Like I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt like not only was she betraying me, but my body was betraying me because of, while you separate that mentally, right, you physically, your body's responding in the way that it was designed to respond. Yeah. And so it's, again, that was the utter turmoil, because it's like, dealing with those emotions so young, not knowing what they were, not knowing why you have them. So ultimately it was me hating my body at such a young age. And it was me hating people and not knowing if I could trust them. And so that was hard.
Yeah, I imagine. And did you tell anybody, or was this why didn't you? Do you remember what was going through your head?
More so frozen in fear. If I could just explain that. How we all grow up with the monsters in the closet. So this became a monster in the closet for me, and I was frozen in fear to address and approach those monsters, right? I'd rather keep the door closed and not deal with it. I also felt as if I told my father, because he already kind of beat my sister, a lot, because she wasn't his biological. I felt like he was going to kill her if that was, and so it was like this conflicting feelings between this is my sister, and I feel bad because of the way dad's treating her, but now she's taking it out on me and treating me this way. And it just was back and forth. So I kept quiet out of just fear for what would happen if I said anything.
And it's so hard because here you are, you're young, and you're making the best decisions you can based on what you have available to you at the time. And this is where we look to those big people. We assume they all know better. And when it's like, okay, I can't go to this one, I can't go to this one, I can't go to this one, what the heck do I do now? It's very scary. It's like where the bottom truly bottoms out on you. So what happened?
So yeah, that was kind of when I know my dad asked who wanted to go on a walk with him, and I went on a walk, and that's when I saw the sunset, and I just figured there had to be someone who's controlling us, who's created this earth, like who created that gorgeous sunset I saw that day. And that's why I just wanted to seek and explore more. And that's when I, well, maybe this Jesus can help me. That was my whole attitude back then. And so, and he did. And so I owed everything because it was turmoil going through that.
Yeah. So how did you know you started feeling better? What were the signs where you said, well, you know what, I'm feeling better today than I felt yesterday? Like, what was the difference?
So although I had come to Christ and I was worshiping God, and I always felt so safe and secure and loved whenever I had my me time, at such a young age too. It's just like, really, reading his word and trying to understand it for what I could, in that situation. And even as just a new believer, I was my own expert because again, I still couldn't go to the adults. But I think what ultimately ended up happening is although I felt good when I was studying and that she stopped, and that was like a huge relief, the transition went into an even deeper dark place, because now I have this big secret that's weighing heavy, and I still hate my body. And I'm dealing with also the aftermath of that. When a child is messed with, and especially for me, you've conditioned my body to respond. And so now I'm dealing with what you say, withdrawals, and not, my body wanting to feel good, but me not wanting my body to feel good. And so it was a struggle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a struggle.
So what'd you do with that? Like, how did you make sense of that? Because how old were you at this point?
I was seven going on 8.
Okay, so it's 7 and 8. I mean, think about it. You should only be just playing on the playground and having fun with friends and, dealing with some teasing, but here you were having to really take on all of this adult stuff. And then, so it sounded like just immersing yourself in religion really helped you. What started to change? I mean, so here you are, you're 8 years old, you're grappling with that, and you started to feel a little bit better. What happened next?
Well, I not only immerse myself in and I want to say religion per se, because I'm so against that. It's just a personal relationship that I have that I call my own, right? So I don't follow any necessary religions. However,
I'm glad you said it, because I just assumed when you said that, but we are a very spiritual group here. Like I'm, totally spiritual, not religious at all. So I hear you.
Yeah, okay. Because you have different, we could go, and that's a whole different, but I'm like Jesus, and I acknowledge that he died on the cross, and I just have, what I'm saying? Like I have my own relationship. But one of the things that I was also doing was gaming. So, I mean, I'm trying to save the queen, Mario or Luigi, whichever one. I was a gamer. So that was something that helped me compartmentalize and helped me feel normal, so that I could go to school. But then at school, because we were very poor, Like if I got a hole in my pants because I was playing too hard on the playground, well, here comes a patch, and then we're sewing it on. So it was, I got rocks thrown at the playground. I was being teased and bullied. But I tried to overcome that by saying, how can I do something where I don't care about all the kids? I just want to do something that, I like, that I don't have to deal with them. And so I joined the dance team, and I made the tryouts. I had tried out the year before my fourth grade year, and my fifth grade year I made it. So yeah, so I mean, it was just focusing on things that didn't involve what I was going through. So looking outside of that is how I pushed myself through, and still do to today.
And it's really common that any kind of trauma leads to addiction. And it could have been that the gaming, I mean, do you think you were sort of addicted to it at that point?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I saved the queen a couple of times. I went to Zelda. I figured out a Star Trek game.
Yeah. Okay. But dance seemed like a healthy way out for you. Did it feel like that?
Kind of, sort of, just because I didn't realize that all the popular girls who were mean would
Oh, you
be trying
pronounced
out
the
for
mean
that.
girls. Okay.
Right. But at the same time, I was very much so into sports. So I was always racing the kids outside. I was, whatever I could do, I was trying to focus on. In the house, I'm gaming. Outside, I'm playing, and I'm playing hard. Like we're racing, we're doing all the sports stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I had to focus on.
Yeah. And then what did you notice any other improvements or changes as you got involved in that?
Yeah. So as far as in this whole time, I'm still with John. So I'm very much to myself, and not outgoing like I was before everything started to happen. So I'm just with John and to myself. So the only change I would say during that time that I noticed was the fact that I could have tunnel vision. I could block people out. I didn't let them get to me. Um, but I just kind of protected myself in my own little bubble.
And so how did you, what happened when it was time, let's say, for relationships or even friendships? Because I'm sure trust was shattered and that felt very scary and unsafe.
So I had one friendship, one friendship. It was a girl, and she had a disability. She had a hearing aid because she was born with one ear. And I remember I befriended her, we got along, and I mean, her birthday was July 4th, mine was July 3rd. And my dad, oh my God, he agreed. He agreed to for us to share our birthday parties. We get to the party, and I'm trying to enjoy myself. But I just know something's going to go down as soon as I saw the beer. And I heard her father offer a beer to my father. All he had to do, like, for me, like, I guess in any normal situation is, oh, no, thanks, I don't drink. Right. But he did. He said, no, thank you. And then he goes into condemning the poor man about drinking and what it leads to and how it's unholy and right, and I'm just like,
oh, okay.
and not even, and the guy was like, look, man, I just offered you the beer. You said no, and we're good.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop there. And before I know it, my dad's calling us to go to the car, and now we have to leave. So after that, all of the kids heard of that.
So this is just because your friend's dad offered your dad a beer.
A beer.
Okay.
And then all the kids heard about it, and then I got teased relentlessly, and there were no more friendships. So I don't think my dad truly understood the consequences of his actions. Like, he felt that he was, just okay in what he would do, but he didn't realize the aftermath.
Did he think he was helping the other dad, or like what was the intention? What was the idea behind it?
I have no idea.
Did you ever confront your dad? Did you ever ask your dad?
He doesn't speak on anything that he does.
So
Yeah, I just, which, a part of the reason why I've written this book is because I've just never received any kind of closure or validation or anything from him. It's more
Yeah.
so, and I think this is where parents sometimes just don't understand.
Yeah.
You have to listen, and you have to really understand where your child is coming from, and validate their feelings,
Yeah.
and then explain. You have to be transparent and open yourself, and I don't think that has ever occurred between me and him, which is why I felt, it's the anger and the resentment, all of these
Yeah.
emotions have just been pinned up inside for so long until I could finally release it, because writing this book was very cathartic.
Well, so then I guess, was it that you just never felt comfortable asking your dad something, or just even having a conversation about something like that? Because it's just it's sort of like there's so much. It sounds like there was so much you wanted to say, but you didn't feel comfortable saying, so you just didn't, because you were afraid of what he would say or do, or
Yeah, so back then we didn't have a voice. We didn't have a voice. I didn't have my voice for a very long time. I'd say probably I found it around 18, but
Mhm.
I did not have a voice, and I fought so hard to get it. But when, my dad said the sun is shining, the sun is shining. Word is,
Yeah.
that's the word, and word is bond, right?
Got it.
This is
Okay.
that's how that household was. And I'll just go a step further so that you and everyone else can understand. Growing up in that household was, that God does not, that he does not believe that God allows women, because I had to wear a hat. We cannot speak unless we wear hats when we're yes.
Is that what kind of, is that just his own rule, or is that a certain religious rule?
Apparently there's something in the Bible, but I've never seen it. Just from me. But for my thing is, if you have something where women aren't allowed to speak and they need to be submissive to the man, we already are going to have problems. So you can kind of understand
Yeah.
how that household was.
Right. So then, okay, so here you are, you're 18, and were you like, this just isn't making sense to me, and this isn't working for me, and then what'd you do?
Well, just kind of fast or back up just a little bit. By 18, I had been raped 3 times, and I, was going through that. So
And did
I
you tell
left.
anybody when that happened?
No, yes, that was,
Okay.
but what happened is I ran away from home because that's what I did. I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I was starting to find my voice, and we were starting to clash more as I was finding my voice, because it was no longer because I said so. It was, I have an opinion about your say so, right?
Yeah.
And even if I were to have, like say it in a respectful way or what have you, I still would get smacked across the face as if I cursed them out. And so I'm just like, I couldn't do it. And my older sister had come back to live with us, and he kicked her out again. And I'm just like, I can't. So I got on a Greyhound and I ran away back to Texas. And that's when I went through the experience of being raped 3 times. And in that situation, I got safety to my aunt's house, who then called my father to tell him where I was, because I hadn't had contact with him since I had run away.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going back to Oregon after that.
So you ran away. Where were you living? Like right when you ran away, you went to your
With a neighbor that we had grown up with for about 14 years. So, well, I say not 14 years, like 10 years, maybe. I'm putting my age. I wasn't a baby, so
Yeah. Okay.
it
So
was
you
2, I
ran.
think.
So you ran away to the neighbor's house, and it just was not safe to be there. It sounds like.
No, I mean, it grew to not be safe. And my thing is, I trusted them. That was a betrayal for me, because these 2 boys, her sons, we had grown up with. We were like brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Like there was never like, I like you, you like me. There was none of that.
Right.
And so I, I just, it came out of nowhere. And in order to rape me the first time, he had to violently take me down. So I got knocked out. I had never been hit so hard in my life. So that when I came to, he was, on top of me, raping me. And I went to scream again to start fighting again. And he came back with his fist, and something just told me, shut down, like just get this over with. And even though I had not had, that sex before, to where I realized what was going on. So that was my first time having sex. And then that was him, just the first time someone ever hitting me in the face with their fist and knocking me that cold out. And then I'd say about a week later, while I'm trying to find somewhere to go, every time I went back in the house, I was in the house while she was there, his mom. Mm-hmm. And because I was like, I know he won't try anything. And he came in the dead middle of the night. Wow. And he came back with another neighborhood boy and his little brother. His little brother said no, but his little brother didn't go and tell, and left me in the room with those two. And I can't confirm that it was a gun, but I heard it set down on the nightstand by me in the dark, and it was heavy metal, and it just, don't you make a word and a noise. And
how scary.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then you found a way to leave that situation, and then you went back to your dad?
I went to my aunt.
You went to your aunt. Okay, so you went to your aunt after that. And then at what point did you feel safe?
I think I felt safe around my aunt because there wasn't anybody to harm me.
Yeah.
But I was angry. Mm-hmm. I was livid. Yeah. So I went through that.
Yeah. How did you get all that anger out? What'd you do?
I just remember a feeling of so much anger, a feeling of just wanting to tear someone to shreds, almost like you just wanted to kill somebody, right? Yeah. And these are very real emotions. I'm just being transparent about. I don't think I could ever kill anybody, but there's just, I had that rage is what I want to call it. It was a rage inside of me. And so I remember that there was this boy who, he was kind of like a nerd, but he showed interest. And so I was just like, I wanted to hurt him. I couldn't hurt him like I had been hurt, but I was just like, I'm going to make him think that I like him, and then I'm going to leave him. Yeah. And so, it was just things like that, that I went through, but there was definitely a rage.
Right. And I guess that's it. It's like, how do you know how to have a normal, healthy relationship when,
exactly,
here you are just having these kinds of experiences. So what did you do to heal? Take us from those experiences to the place of healing. What happened?
I didn't heal from any of that. I was actually haunted by, until later in life, I was haunted by nightmares. Just little things would trigger. I remember I walked into a church, actually it was the Potter's house in Dallas, and I saw his mother, my rapist's mother, walk. And when I saw her, I didn't realize that I would react, but I froze.
Yeah.
And it's just like people were, how big that church is. So people are just going, and I just froze, and I just looked at her until she disappeared through that door, frozen in fear, wanting to say, do you know what your son did? I just wanted to scream at her. I wanted to shake her. I wanted,
Yeah. Did anything ever happen to the son? Or did you ever confront him or her?
I'm sorry. Sometimes this is hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard.
Yeah. It's so much. It's so much to deal with, of course. And what I found so consistently is it's the ones who go through the greatest childhood traumas have the most incredible opportunity for transformation and sharing their powerful stories and their powerful gifts. And that's the reason, that's when we use that to do something really good with something bad. Then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's not that it makes it good, but it makes it at least make some kind of sense. You're putting that pain, giving that pain a purpose. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
And it also sounds like you said your book was very cathartic. Is the intention of the book just to help other people prevent something, navigate through something? What's the intention?
Yeah, that's why I released it. I released it. I was very afraid to release it because I was afraid that that my rapist would find out and try to harm me. I was afraid that just there were a lot of fears with releasing the book, and anxiety. It felt good after I wrote everything, but then when it came time to release it, I was like,
yeah, it's scary. It's a scary moment.
Yeah, so I had to get, I just talked to my counselor and, the Scribe Media, who was helping me launch it. Just some great people on that end.
Yeah.
And they just, they were right there with me.
Yeah.
And everything just worked out.
What do you want to make sure everyone knows as we wrap up?
I want every woman, every little girl, but this message can go beyond that because everyone deals with trauma, right? But I want them to know that they are not alone in their trauma. Everyone faces trauma and will go through adversity at some point in their life. None of us will escape. But what they have to know is that they are not alone. And I posted something on my Instagram this morning. I took a picture. It was very cloudy. You can tell there was a storm below us when we were on the plane. And I posted that picture and I said, this is what it looks like over your storm. So the storm may be covering your head and you may not see, just because it's so dark, you may not see that the sun is still shining and that there's a breakthrough that's coming. So you have to power through and you have to level up, and so when that sun comes out, you've leveled up because you've survived this. You're much stronger. You're much wiser. And I think that's what I want everyone to know. I want them to find hope, and I want them to know that they are loved.
Yeah.
No one should walk around this earth thinking that no one cares.
Yeah, that's a beautiful message, and you're living proof. Where do we go to learn more about you and the great work you do?
BYRDYLYNN.com. And they can also follow my Instagram at Byrdy Lynn Kelley.
Terrific. Okay. And I'll have all the information in the show notes. Byrdy, I want to thank you so much for your brave and bold sharing of your story. It's never easy to share it, but know that every time you do, you're helping someone who's saying, I didn't know anybody else was going through that. And I'm sure I have so many viewers and listeners who are resonating on some level with the fear, the anxiety, the questioning, the all of it. But to see you and that you've done something good with something bad gives them hope that they can do the same. So thank you so much for your insights and your wisdom. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wow. It's so easy to see how early childhood experiences can shape us, leaving us to feel that the world is unsafe and somehow there must be something wrong with us until we finally learn that we weren't the problem at all. And for our health and happiness, it's crucial to do all we can to find a way out of our pain. Stay in touch with Byrdy by going to BYRDYLYNN.com, and we'll have all of her information in the show notes at thepbtinstitute.com/podcast. Here's my biggest takeaway. I was my own expert. That's such a powerful realization for a child, and something Byrdy realized at a young age. If she was going to get out of the pain and trauma she found herself in, it was because she was going to be the one to figure it out. Of course, the right type of support is crucial, but transformation is always a very personal journey. It can also leave lots of cleanup in its wake, so be sure to take the post-betrayal syndrome quiz, which you can find at thepbtinstitute.com/quiz so you can see what may need cleaning up. Thanks for listening. Can't wait to be with you next time, and here's to your breakthrough.